Well, as always, a very good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you wherever you might be in the world. Right here, of course, in Perth, Western Australia, it is a scorcher. I'm actually recording the same day I'm going to load up, and right now it's lunchtime where I am, and it's 34 degrees Celsius. But anyway, look, before I get into the video, I want to thank you, as always, for being part of my journey today. Whether you're a new visitor or a returning visitor to the channel, I thank you for your support. I am paying attention. I don't watch the numbers as far as subscribers go and the likers. I don't watch that religiously because I just want to be open and accept and respect the fact that people find the channel and find the information that's relevant to them at whatever time. But I have noticed that the numbers are increasing, and that's very heartwarming for me when I do go and have a look. If you are a newbie and you haven't noticed, you will see in the channel, in the video descriptions, I always put timing so that you can jump from one spot to the next, because I do tend to waffle a bit. I can go off down that rabbit warren and start basically going off script. I do write scripts, but I go off them all the time. Oh, what can I say? My apologies. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about something that has come up in my personal life as far as my social interactions go. And we're going to be talking a little bit about divine plan and knowing when you're on track and when you're going off track, because sometimes that can be very confusing, even for people that might consider themselves to be quite spiritually aware. We're all living the life, we're all walking the path, and we all reach stone walls from time to time. And I'm going to talk about that shortly. Before I do, though, I'm just going to update you on what's happening for my local event. Of course, that's going to be on the 12th of March. So if you live in Perth, Western Australia, you might want to pop along. It's in Mount Lawley. It's actually going to be at the community centre. If you want to book a ticket, it's on the Eventbrite website. And basically, I've been really going, I suppose, a little over the top, okay? I've got all my old tarot decks out, blown the dust off them, the ones that I use, the ones I don't use, and I've also gone and bought new ones and new oracles so that you can have a play and get comfortable with them if that's what you like to do. And I'm going to take along a range of crystals for you to have a look at as well. If you haven't brought your own, you'll be able to use one of mine. Anyway, lots of other stuff I'll let you find out when you turn up, and hopefully you will. I do have a waiting list, okay? And if you've booked a ticket and you something comes up and you can't attend, let us know and I'll be able to bring somebody else along in your stead. By the way, the event is free. It doesn't cost anything to come along. So on to the topic for today, which is, as I said, the divine plan. Now, you might know it by life purpose. At different points in time, especially as we get older, people start questioning, well, what is the point of it all? What is my purpose? What am I here for? I must be here for something. There must be something that I'm meant to be doing, or I could be doing, for myself or for other people, to feel that life is meaningful. Now, in my belief system, we're all born with a life purpose. There is a point to our birth, and that point, just so that you know, I feel is revealed through the birth numerology, at least part of it. And if you actually, now this is what I do remember, I deviate from the script. The knowing your numerology reveals to you your life path and your purpose, but also it can reveal to you any karmic debt or the undercurrents of some of the experiences. And what I tend to find is when people look at their numerology, they're like, oh my gosh, that makes sense. And oh yes, I can see how that is played through my life, especially if they get older. But anyway, life purpose, divine plans. Now, of course, when we talk about a divine plan, it's not a concept that resonates or feels right or true to everyone, because we're all different, we're all unique, but for many people it does. And also, many people may believe in it but have a different perspective to mine. So in these instances, I welcome your input and understanding. This is an invitation to you to let me know what it feels like as a concept, if it feels right. Anyway, so my understanding of the divine plan is basically a belief that, yes, it's different for all of us. Yes, there is a truth to that saying that every single one of us that's walking on the planet, even if you can't see it, even if it's your worst enemy, is in the divine mind or the divine idea. These people are unique, valued, and beloved by the Creator. Okay, we all come into this world as humans, and some of us are going to be able to fulfill our obligations and tasks. And the bottom line is too that to have a blessing, sometimes a blessing means a hardship for other people, or there's that yin and yang, the polarities of life as well. So even if that person is a bad person, I don't really want to go down this pathway particularly. Bad's not such a good word. Even if this person is not a loving person, they still are unique and valued. They are, perhaps part of their divine plan is to be this challenging person. If it's a narcissist, I've got a few of them in my family, and those people have taught me the greatest lessons and experiences about how to be a kinder human being. Simply through my association, they teach us lessons. So they're all playing a role. All of us has a role to play in this big perspective. But anyway, I'm diverting. What I want to put the point to you all is that reminder that the divine plan doesn't mean that we don't have any freedom of will or choice, and that everything that we do in our life is predestined, because not everything in our life is what we call predestined or by divine design. Some of the challenges will be, other ones are challenges that we create for ourselves. I would say actually largely when we allow ourselves to get in the way is the best way that I can describe it. When we want something that might be outside of the original plan, or when we're pushing, our ego is telling us we need to do X and Y. But actually the reality is, if we allow ourselves to go with the divine plan, then it seems to flow, is where I'm going. I'm just going back to my notes here. I've noticed here that I need to say and remind people, as part of my understanding, that when it comes to the divine design and the life path, the roadmap, there are some keys, what they call keys, and these are the ones that are locked in concrete. But they're not, I must say, in my experience, I don't consider that they were hardships. I would say that the filled keys are somewhat ambiguous, yet somewhat fixed, if that makes sense. And it could be, for example, part of a person's life plan is that they will become a parent, that they're going to have a child. And then within that, the free will comes in. They might be predestined to have 2 children or 3 children, but then where their free will is concerned, they might decide to have 7 or 8. You know what I mean? And that's not necessarily part of the divine design for them. I'm just using that as an example. What else can I say here? I'll just check my notes. Actually, I'm just going to make a point here. I did put a scenario in when we're speaking about children. Okay, one person, an example that I can think of, one person that I am aware of was in a married relationship. One party said they wanted to have about 6 children. That would be the father. The mother had said that she wanted 3 or 4 at the absolute most. Now, in hindsight, she believes that 2 of her children were predestined because she felt a spiritual connection when they were born. The third one she felt was free will, and she drew the line after that as far as having any more children within that marriage. Now, that marriage ended up terminating, and her partner went on to have more children with another woman. So you could potentially assume from there that his divine plan was different to hers. And that kind of gives a little bit of sense as to why the marriage failed and why they went in different directions, because they had different paths to walk. So a question that I'm often asked by many people, and a question that I ask myself and my guides from time to time as well, is, how do we know when we're on our track, on our path, and how do we know when we're deviating from it? Because life is a matter of navigating obstacles. Sometimes it's smooth, sometimes we're smacking into brick walls, sometimes it's very, very challenging, and sometimes, and I'm meeting more people like this right now, which is why I'm having this conversation today, where we are at an interesting time, I think, as far as the planet is concerned as well. And I think most people would agree with this. So many people, we get to a certain age and we're like, I just don't know what I'm doing anymore. Everything I try, it's just not working out. There seems to be so many more challenges. And then people who previously might have considered themselves to be quite spiritually aware are saying, I've lost it. I just don't know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know if I'm on track. They have a crisis of faith, all of that stuff. So then the key is, how do we know when we're on track? How do we know when we're following our guidance? And I think the measure is, this came up this week as well, is that when we are on track, things seem to happen with ease. Now, a lot of this is reliant on us raising our personal vibration as well, as you know. And I'm referring to light vibration, the amount of light that you can bring into your aura. Now, quite often when it comes to the spiritual workers or the metaphysical workers, what happens is they, as much as anybody else, as they go through these challenges, especially if it's challenge and struggle one after the other, a series of them in a short space of time, they start neglecting, as all of us do. They neglect to do their spiritual hygiene. And as they neglect to do their spiritual hygiene, they become more bogged down and stuck in the problems, shall we say. So this is where I talk about spiritual hygiene. It's very often common when people are depressed that they may start to neglect their personal hygiene. They might not have a shower for a couple of days. In fact, having worked in the mental health field, it's not unusual for some people to neglect to shower even for a week, or to look after their teeth and stuff like that, and they just get grottier and grottier and smellier. Well, it's similar for the spiritual hygiene. If we're not doing our centering, our grounding, our purifying our aura and all the rest of it, then the aura gets heavier and heavier and we get bogged down. And that's when we start to get really, can't see the wood through the trees kind of thing. But how do we know when it's going right, when we're on track? Well, we feel light to start with. Even if we're confused and directionless, we feel lighter. We don't feel bogged down. The right person shows up at the right time. There is that word synchronicity, where there is no coincidences. I'm actually going through this right now. I've met a lady a few months ago, and we were talking about this, and she said she feels her role was actually to connect me to people. So in my physical existence, I'm meeting a lot of people at the moment, and every time I connect with them, there is some underlying purpose about it. Whether or not our connection remains and we stay in touch with each other, I'll give you a prime example. And I'll use myself, okay, is this business with the Reiki, which I've put on the back burner for now. I have been asked a number of times about people, or from people, to teach them how to do it. Now, I haven't done Reiki for many years, and before I actually start teaching the Reiki, I need to make sure that I've got my ducks in a row and that my manuals are in order. So what has happened is the inquiries have promoted me to take care of the administration aspect of it, which means that I'm getting ready to actually deliver those Reiki attunements in the not too distant future. So there's a synchronicity there. Those people may have moved on with their lives. They may have found different teachers and all the rest of it, but we connected for a reason, and that reason is going to be fully exposed down the track. Now, I'll stop talking about me for a moment, and I'll talk about an experience that was shared with me this week by another woman, which does reiterate what I'm talking about here with, when you're off track, because you really start to get bogged down with the day-to-day stuff. And I think this image pretty well shows and displays in a visual means what happens. This guy's riding along on his bike. All of a sudden, he hits more than a road bump. He hits a gully, if you like, and he falls in the gully. Now, of course, in his physical existence, it's not going to be difficult for him to pull himself out, but he might get a bit tired when he's pulling that bike out, depending on how heavy it is. A bigger bike, he might need to get somebody in to help him pull that bike out of that mud. But the point remains that when we are becoming energetically overwhelmed and we feel bogged by life, this becomes that point in time where it's time to sit down, okay? So let's say we were going for a walk through the forest. We can't see the forest because we're too busy looking at the trees. It's just problem after problem. Well, when you get that many problems, you've got to sit down, take a breath, reevaluate where you're at, what you're doing, what you're trying to do. Do you need to completely change path? Do you need to re-navigate the goal? You know what I mean? You might have this goal that is set way ahead in the future. One day I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. But the getting there, that is the series of steps. So it might be time you don't have to give up your goal or your great aspiration, but you need to revisit how you're going to get there. So this is time to sit down, navigate the trees, look for a new path, or maybe you've got to create a new path yourself. And I suppose a lot of the time, at least with people that are energy workers, they actually already have the tools. They know what they need to do to get through the path or the forest, but they simply have to start using them, right? That's what happens a lot of the time with metaphysical workers. We will stop working on that spiritual hygiene and we will end up basically becoming stuck. For those people that have not progressed to using energy, shall we say, maybe it's time to take a look and give it a try, because you've got nothing to lose by giving it a try. What have I got? I'm just going to check my notes again. Because as you start doing the energy work, it's going to bring those people to you, or it's going to bring the tools to you for you to be able to shift forward in your life. And that includes on your physical existence as well. I'm just going to skip over this because there's something else I want to share. And that's the tools, okay? Because whether you're trying to create a new path or simply trim a pathway or trim back the branches that are blocking you, some of those obstacles, there's so many different ways that you can use energy to be able to navigate these problems in life, and there are countless of them. So if you know of an energy technique that has worked for you, or you know somebody that does energy work yourself and they can make a recommendation or whatever, please do feel free to put feedback in here as well. The first thing that comes to mind though for me is it would be Reiki was probably the first part of my journey, becoming spiritually aware, but actually I would have to pull myself up there and say, no, it wasn't actually. It was, I attended a meditation circle that brought in the power of prayer and the spoken word, which certainly was outside of my comfort zone to start with, but I witnessed miracles with it, is where I'm going with this. And that made me start looking a bit deeper. And then I stumbled upon Reiki. So we talk about synchronicity. I was introduced to a teacher, had my own further miracles, shall we say, and it's just been an ongoing series of things since then. So, if I think about it offhand, drumming, crystals, healing with sound, vocal toning of the chakras. You've got some people use the healing fork, some people use gongs. Not for me. I don't like the gongs. Sorry if you're into gongs. A lot of people are, but I'm not, because it hurts my eardrums. But then you've got things like the crystal healing bowls. Some people are into that kind of thing. For myself, though, I actually, I guess because I've been looking at crystals for so many years, that's why I promote them as a healing tool, but certainly spiritual hygiene. Now, I will try to remember, if I forget, I will try to remember to put a link into a video that I've created called Spiritual Hygiene, but you could do a search through the channel and find it yourself. Oh, yes, and I'm very, very much into colour healing as well, because colour, well, you've got the 7 rays, haven't you? So anyway, that's some tips for you, and you're welcome to contribute, and I would appreciate it, and I'm sure other people will as well. I could go on and on and on about what types of energy healing methods there are, but at the same time, I'm very much aware, excuse me while I cough, that would drag out the video way, way too long. So I'll just put it to you to, if you can think of one and you put your questions up, I will respond to them. For myself, though, there was a time, and I'll be quite honest about this, that I thought crystal healing was purely psychosomatic. And maybe it is. Maybe it is all in the head, but the bottom line is, I don't think so anymore, because I feel that I've received so much benefit from actually using crystals that I actually really do believe in their healing properties and powers. However, at the same time, they're so diverse and they will cross over as well with properties. So, amethyst might have X and Y properties. Celestite, as on this image here, that'll have certain properties as well. Both are said to work for the higher realms. And at the end of the day, I kind of find that all of us as individuals, we have a certain amount of information that we gain about crystals through using them or speaking with people that have used them, especially when it comes to the actually, I was going to say psychological, emotional, and physical health attributes, but it's not just that, because I know, for example, I had one amazing experience with selenite and herkimer diamond, actually, of all things. But for now, obviously, staying in alignment with the slides and the transcripts and that kind of stuff, just an update. Yes, I am doing the professional readings from home. It is good because it has me interacting with other people and it prompts my brain. And yes, I do tend to make crystal prescriptions for people, as far as if they identify or if we work out a problem that that person is going for, then quite often I will recommend a crystal to them that might work for them within a current situation. Um, these are home-based readings and consults. These aren't online at this point in time. Now, speaking of crystals, of course, we've got the Crystal Magic playlist, which obviously I update you each week as to what I've loaded and what's coming. And this week, you will have seen Azurite go up. I mean, Azurite is just such a stunningly amazing, beautiful crystal. It's just breathtaking. It is up there as one of my favorites, but it's not one that I use all the time, probably because I don't have a lot of it actually, but I intend to change that in the near future and get myself one of the small Russian geodes. I also loaded the video on Malachite, and I can actually say, sometimes when I'm making these videos, as you know, I do some research into them and try and make sure that the information that I give to you is actually relevant and valid for now. And I can honestly say with Malachite, I found that one to be very informative. I didn't realize in the first instance that there were so many forms of Malachite, because I was limited by my own ones. And the other thing is, I didn't realize that it was so popular to fake, and apparently it is. So you get some strategies on that video on how to identify the fake from the genuine. And also, I think looking at the word fake, is it a fake or is it not? You'll get answers to that on that video, on the Malachite video. So when it comes to next week's videos, I'm actually not 100% sure if I'm going to load this particular one, Chiastolite, which is a beautiful, beautiful, very unusual, naturally forming crystal, as you see with this cross in the middle of it. I've had a piece, I've got new pieces, but the reason why I said I'm not sure is because I'm also currently working on a video for sodalite. And I'm kind of wondering whether or not I should be prioritizing sodalite for you. So this one might go up next week, might not. We'll wait and see. I definitely am going to load this one, okay? You will see this one go up. I'm not sure if I'll put it up on Tuesday or Thursday, but this one's called Healersgold, and it's sometimes, I shouldn't say sometimes, I'm not really 100% sure. I know it as Healersgold, but I've more recently found out, excuse me, once again, my throat is going croaky, that it is called Apache stone is another name for it. And I have to admit, there's just something about this. I do have some in my collection, and I just really love the way it feels, okay? Maybe it just resonates with me. If you've worked with it, let us know. I don't know, it's hard to describe, but it feels warm is where I will go with that. But anyway, yeah, this one's going up next week. So I'm going to keep the video short today. because time is a premium for all of us. And just remind you that there's a number of channels on the playlist where, hopefully you can go in there and find something that is informative to you, something that resonates with you, something that can help you to navigate some of that getting bogged down in life stuff, to shift beyond the bogs. That's the idea of this channel largely, is to give you the information and tools so that you can actually live the life that you imagine yourself living, one that's full of peace and joy. Sounds a little bit romantic, but isn't that what it's all about? For now, though, speaking of joy, love, happiness, and peace, I'm going to bid you all farewell with a thank you to the universe for all of my blessings, seen and unseen. And one blessing that has not escaped my attention today is the fact that my little Toby boy has been quiet as a little mouse through this video. So I'm very grateful for that as well. But anyway, until next week, take care. Love you, leave you. Have a blessed day, blessed week. See you on the next video. Bye-bye for now.